Today starts the rebuild of the Quest. I don't know which number this one is. I'll have to look at the number to see if it's stamped on there somewhere, like the other Quest are, but this is a Bluevelo Quest that I picked up. It's full carbon. It's lighter than the eyeball. It's red. It was completely flooded in Hurricane Florence in 2018. And now I'm gonna clean it up and rebuild it. There's some things in here that need to be fixed. So I'm gonna take it apart and look at it. One of the things I have to take apart is I'm gonna take apart the struts, pull them apart, look at them, check the springs, check for rust, corrosion. I gotta pull the wheels off, check the brakes. All the drivetrain needs to come out. I need to remove the chain and replace the chain. I need to take out the underseat idler, and in doing all that and taking everything apart, I'm going to clean it all out as I go. Here's the start. Well, I can tell you one thing's for sure. This thing is lighter enough than the eyeball. When I lifted it up on the table, I can tell it's lighter. So maybe it's only 10 pounds, but it sure does feel like a lot more. Hopefully it'll feel better when I'm actually pedaling it as well. And it looks like there's a number down there, so I can get a serial number off of it. They put it in the same place, so it's just that this is a Bluevelo licensed one. That's Bluevelo. These guys were in Canada and they had molds, which they've actually just sold because they closed down their business. Some guys in Oklahoma have built 2 or 3 Quest from those molds. I don't know if they're going to be building any more, but that's kind of cool that the molds are still in use. So time to get into it and see what I've got. Okay, one of the reasons that the wheels didn't roll very well, it doesn't look like it's because of the bearings. It's because the brakes had plenty of rust on them for the brake shoes. But I think I can clean that up. So that's inside the wheel hub. And then the brakes themselves, they got some muck on them, some goo and grime. So I'm going to get a little sandpaper and brush these up. And there's little bits of rust and corrosion. But for the most part, it looks good so far. This is the left side I've got taken apart. You guys can see my other videos where I've done this plenty of times on my other Quest. But that looks good so far. I'm liking what I'm seeing. The right side is quite a bit more rusty, which is why it was dragging so much. Even on the outside, looks like a lot of corrosion there. And of course, the brakes are all rusty. So, a little more cleanup on this side, but I think I'll still get it cleaned up. So I took apart the rear axle because the bearings felt kind of tight. Once I got it apart, the bearings actually were just fine. There was a little bit of rust on one little bolt there, and everything else looked good. I cleaned up the wheel, had some oxidation on some of the aluminum parts and on some of the spokes, but they're all tight, they're all good. Everything still had grease in it. I didn't find any corrosion on the gears or anything. So I did do, and then I checked the idler. Everybody knows about the famous idler that's in the middle of a Quest right here. And what I found out was that it was just fine. And it still rolls just fine. So the bearings in that are good. The only thing that I found interesting was I thought maybe I can take the chain out and just clean it. Because when I took it out, it actually looked pretty good. So I don't know if you can tell, but it's the KMX chain that has the holes in it to make it lighter. It actually looked really good, and I thought maybe I could just clean it up. Because there's a few sections where you can see rust on it a little bit, where it looked like it was laying inside the chain tube. And I thought, well, maybe I can just clean it up. And when I was pulling it out, what happened was it actually came apart. I didn't save it, but one of the links where it was rusted at the pins, it just popped off the side and the chain came apart. It was not a master link, it actually broke. So I started looking at some of the rest of the chain, and on quite a few places where the pins are in the chain, they're rusted. And if it does the same kind of thing, put it under some kind of stress, it may pop off. Chains are one of the weakest link in the system, so to speak. So I'm just going to put a new one on. So I ended up with the Quest. The only thing I'm going to have to change is the chain and the horn. And I may have to adjust the light adjustment cable. I was actually looking at that, and the cable itself may be good. It might be the light itself is rubbing the hole, which is making it to where it doesn't want to move forward and up and down easily. So that's one of those things I might be able to fix pretty easy too. So with that said, it looks like the Quest only needs a chain and a horn. So I got this taken out. It's just, this one's dead, it doesn't work. So I have to figure out how to get a new horn, where to get a new horn, what kind of horn. And I'm dumbfounded. This thing was completely underwater. And I'm finding a few places, normal things. Okay, I'm just looking at the bell attachment. The bell still works, but the little bracket that holds it on is rusted. And it's just surface stress, so no big deal. The gears, the crank, still sounds fine. All the bearings sound fine. All the wheels roll really well now. The right side not as much as the left side. The left side really spins. The right side, not quite as much. So it slows down a little bit, but probably with a little use of the brakes, getting that last few bits of corrosion off the brakes, I'll be able to get the right one to spin just as well. Probably that much rolling resistance when I'm actually riding down the road is not going to be that much that I'm going to notice it. I just have to say thank you very much to John. This is an immaculate machine. Even after being completely submerged, everything still works. And I got an incredible deal. And this thing doesn't have very many miles on it. I mean, even the tires still have the little nubs of rubber on it. I can still see the tread line in the middle where it's not even worn yet. Yes, I was very fortunate. Right place, right time, had the money, made a deal. So the Quest just needs a new chain and a new horn. Very pleased with this purchase. So there you go. I think probably the next update will be the chain, putting the chain on, putting the Quest back together, putting the Vortex back together, getting it adjusted, and it'll start being some first ride reports, hopefully. Outstanding. This is great. This is cool. So if you like what you see and you want to see more, you want to stay tuned, hit that subscribe button, hit a like button, comment, share, do all that fun stuff. And until next time, cheers.